Chapter 4. Say dating Sadie was a paradigm shift would be to oversimplify the matter. To be with her meant to enact all of the little rituals and practices Cassandra saw others doing all the time, but were still foreign to her. Even after the months they'd spent together, she was almost never the one to try initiating physical contact. She didn't dislike it, of course, but it was always Sadie taking her hand or going in for kisses. Then there were Sadie's friends from school, who were always nice enough, but made Cassandra anxious, thanks to her struggles communicating. It was just the two of them that Saturday night, sitting at a cheesesteak truck across the street from the movie theater. "You know what's another great thing about you?" Sadie licked a wandering drop of cheese sauce from her hand. "You never gripe to me about doing stuff like this." "Like what?" Cassandra asked. "I used to date this girl. Melanie, have I told you about Mel?" "One or two things. Small things." "She hated when I wanted to do stuff like this. She was always on some kind of polenta or vitamin water or cactus juice diet. I never ate as much blobby yeast as I did those 3 months." Sadie took a big bite out of her hoagie. "Seriously, why don't you have any stories like this from me? How have you never dated anyone?" "Thought I liked someone in Smallville once." Cassandra sipped from her bottle of water. "I did like him, just not like you." "What the heck were you doing out in Smallville? Do you have family out there or something?" "Something." With a last bite, Sadie finished her cheesesteak, balled up the aluminum it was served in, and tossed it toward a nearby garbage can. It hit the rim but fell to the outside. Sadie sighed as she got up to drop it in properly. "Okay, here's the deal, Miss Short Answer and Mysterious. I need to know something else before we go see this flick." Her voice was tough but playful. Cassandra frowned as she digested the thought and took another bite of her own nearly finished sandwich. "What do you need?" "You know what? Bad phrasing. I'm sorry. I need to know anything else before we go in." "I don't understand." "I've known you for almost a year now. We've been dating for 6 months, and there's a whole bunch of stuff about you I don't know. You're adopted, you're Catholic, you're homeschooled, talking is hard, you're really nice, and you're really cute. That averages out to like one thing per month since we've been going out. And I probably learned several of those things rapid fire when I met your family after, the subway thing." Cassandra sighed. "My life is just..." She paused and grappled with whether to allude to the truth or lie entirely, and how she would do either. Finally, she decided on boring. "But there's got to be something you can tell me about real fast. I don't know. Tell me about you and Bruce." "Bruce?" "Yeah. How old were you when he adopted you?" Cassandra bit her lip and took a moment to consider, then decided that her first welcoming into his ranks would work better than her legal adoption. It took a few seconds of finger counting and memory before she said, 14. "That's pretty old to be taken in. Most people are usually just little kids. Guess you did adopt your brothers when they were already older too. How did that not get any publicity? I remember my brother talking about the news when he took in Dick Grayson. Thought the city's favorite playboy would get some attention trying to bring you home with him." I wasn't in an orphanage," Cassandra said. "He took me in when I ran from my first father. He was a bad man, with many enemies." Sadie's face was softened by surprise. 6 months, and I think that's the first time I've ever heard you talk about your birth parents. Enemies as in supervillains, or enemies as in loan sharks? "Loan sharks," Cassandra said. The response was a fast one, possibly incriminating in another scenario, but Sadie didn't seem to think much of it. "And your mom was never in the picture? What about that thing you said when we first met?" "Was trying to empathize," Cassandra said. "Know her a little, but never much. And she's never been kind." "You don't have to tell me any more about that," Sadie said. "Bruce just must mean a lot to you then. It seems like a weird thought. Bruce Wayne just either seems like he'd be loopy or a hard ass all the time. But he was a good guy when we talked back in the hospital, and the other times I've talked to him since. It is different from the others I see and know. We don't talk much. I do not ask for much. But he drives me to church, takes me to breakfast. Some nights we go walking together." "Huh. All right, that counts," Sadie said. "We can go in now." Cassandra wasn't especially good at following films when they watched them together. That was alright. She liked to hear Sadie laugh when someone did something funny, or lean in close for sweet moments. It wasn't always easy for her to keep up, but it was worth it. The two proceeded into Theater 9 to see something with a long, only partially translated title. That was something else to get used to that Stephanie practically cackled over. Sadie was an animation aficionado. Anime, obscure foreign cartoons, classics getting re-releases. Sadie wanted to see them all in the theater. Cassandra didn't mind that. Animated faces were so exaggerated and expressive, she usually had an easier time trying to figure out what the characters were feeling. But any advantage that gave her went right out when the movie was subtitled, as this one was. She didn't mind that much either, as she rested her head on Sadie's shoulder. 90 minutes in the dark with her girlfriend was still 90 minutes in the dark with her girlfriend. However, something was obviously different that night. Despite her initially sweet position with her arms wrapped around Cassandra, Sadie started to slump about 45 minutes in, occasionally mumbling, "This is boring," or "This sucks." Cassandra agreed silently. She really struggled with these kind of slice-of-life animes. A big, bombastic fight scene would at least be easier to keep up with than struggling with the subtitles. After the first hour of the movie, Sadie followed with, "Alright, this flick's a bust. Not crazy enough for me. Everyone's being so selfish and dumb. Really a crapshoot on movies like this." "Should we go?" Cassandra said. "I don't know. You did pay for me to sit through the whole thing. This place is practically empty. Let me see if I can make this more interesting." As Sadie spoke, she began twisting a few locks on the opposite side of Cassandra's head with her fingers. Cassandra looked in that direction, but Sadie kept at it. "Do you trust me?" Cassandra asked. "Trust you with what?" "I just mean, in general. Do you trust me?" "I trust you." "All right. Sit still for me." In the dark of the movie theater, Sadie nuzzled up to her. Something, Cassandra wasn't sure what, began rubbing up the side of her neck. Whatever it was warm and wet. She shuddered at the feeling. What was that? "Don't worry about it," Sadie whispered. Cassandra turned to look as Sadie began first licking, then sucking at the side of her neck. With each action, it took Cassandra a split second to regain her composure. First the bottom of the neck, then up toward her chin. Cassandra was fighting a moan. Everything felt wonderful. Was Sadie just going to keep at it? And yet she was grappling with how much she wanted it to continue. With her whole body overcome with goosebumps and more shaking, Cassandra didn't want her to stop. She wanted to plead with her to continue, and yet couldn't overcome a feeling Sadie shouldn't be doing what she was. Still, she said nothing. With 2 fingers, Sadie peeled back Cassandra's t-shirt just a little, leaned in, and sucked at the base of her neck. Cassandra squeezed the armrest of her chair, and a little moan finally escaped. There came a tiny bite and an instant of ecstasy, before Sadie let up and smirked toward her. "That's going to leave a mark for a little bit." "Maybe don't let your dad see it," Sadie said. There was a moment Cassandra wasn't sure what to do. She remained rooted to the chair. A million thoughts ran through her head as her body struggled to return to equilibrium. But that moment passed so quickly she wasn't certain Sadie even noticed, and she leaned in, and the two locked lips as Cassandra slowly returned from her momentary disappearance. The two held hands and continued to give kisses on the cheeks and lips for the duration of the movie they were barely watching. But Cassandra still struggled with what had happened. It felt amazing, maybe unlike anything she'd ever known before. So why did it feel like there was a pit growing in her stomach?